Please video like and subscribe this channel. The last thing I remembered before the blackness was the violent shudder of my shuttle tearing through the atmosphere of Valeria 9. The alarms had screamed, red lights flashing across the cockpit, and the onboard AI had repeated the same urgent phrase over and over: brace for impact. Brace for impact. Brace. Then nothing. When I opened my eyes, the world was quiet. Not the eerie silence of a battlefield or a deserted space station, but a living, breathing stillness. The kind that made you feel every heartbeat, every breath, as if the universe itself were pressing against your chest. I was lying on a soft surface, cool beneath my body. My vision cleared slowly, and I realized I was inside a room circular, metallic, and strangely organic in its design. The walls shimmered faintly, like they were coated in some living material. A soft light pulsed from overhead, illuminating the space in calming hues of violet and teal. And there was no one else. At first, I thought I was alone. Then I noticed the subtle details: the furniture shaped almost like it was grown instead of built, the faint hum in the air that seemed like it might be a living pulse, and the smell earthy, metallic, and unfamiliar. "Hello," I called, my voice cracking. The only response was the hum of the room. A soft hiss came from one of the walls, and a panel slid open, revealing a humanoid figure. She was tall, almost impossibly so, with luminescent skin that shifted from pale blue to silver as she moved. Her hair cascaded down her shoulders in strands that reflected the soft light, and her eyes glowed faintly gold. "You are awake," she said, her voice melodious but commanding. I scrambled to sit up, wincing at a dull ache in my side. Where am I? What happened to my shuttle?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied me like a scientist observing a specimen. "You survived the descent, though most would not." I swallowed hard, panic rising. "What do you mean, most wouldn't? Where is everyone? Is there anyone else?" Her lips curved into a faint smile that didn't reach her eyes. "There are others, but they are no longer relevant." "What do you mean by that?" My heart pounded. The realization hit me before she spoke: I was the only man here. Over the next few hours, or perhaps days, time was disorienting. The woman, who eventually introduced herself as Lyra, explained the basics. Valeria 9 was a planet colonized centuries ago by an all-female society of humans who had severed all genetic lines of men. They had achieved a fully self-sustaining population through advanced bioengineering and selective reproduction. "The men who once existed here are a memory," she said softly. "You are the first of your kind to arrive in over 400 years. I couldn't comprehend it. So, there are no men anywhere on this planet?" "Not a single one." "No," Lyra confirmed. "You are unique." The words should have been comforting, but they weren't. The way she said unique made me feel less like a marvel of biology and more like a potential anomaly to be contained. It didn't take long for the first restrictions to appear. Lyra guided me to another chamber, a larger space designed for exercise, eating, and sleeping, but with the subtle presence of barriers. I was free to move, but not free to leave. Every exit was sealed, monitored, and reinforced with technology one didn't understand. "You are our guest," Lyra said. "Within these boundaries, you are free. Beyond them, you will be compelled to return." I tried to argue, tried to negotiate, tried to escape. But the corridors of the facility twisted in ways that seemed impossible, and the technology monitoring me was silent but pervasive. Every attempt to flee was thwarted before it even began. It dawned on me: I was a prisoner. Days became weeks. And during those weeks, I began to understand the society I had landed in. The women of Valeria 9 were intelligent, strong, and organized in ways humanity on Earth could only dream of. They had developed a peaceful society free from war, hunger, and poverty. Their cities were vertical, grown organically, blending technology with nature. Farms, laboratories, and homes were all integrated seamlessly. Yet there was something unnerving about the perfection. A society without dissent was also a society without freedom, the kind of freedom I had taken for granted, the simple ability to make mistakes without catastrophic consequences. Elira visited me often, bringing food, supplies, and occasionally conversation. At first, our talks were cautious, formal. She asked about Earth, my shuttle, my body, my mind. I asked about her world, their society, their history. Slowly, though, a fragile trust began to grow between us. "You are unlike any being we have ever known," she said one night as we sat beneath a bioluminescent canopy in the recreation chamber. "Your presence challenges everything we have built." "Not a compliment," I said with a dry laugh. "No," she admitted. "It is a truth." Her gaze held mine, and I felt for the first time that our isolation wasn't just about containment, it was also about observation. She was studying me, as much as I was studying her. Then the first incident happened. I had been exploring one of the upper decks, the observation terrace overlooking the planet's northern oceans, when I saw a group of Elira's people gathered in a ritual I didn't recognize. They were chanting, moving in synchrony, and their eyes glowed faintly like Elira's. Curiosity overtook caution. I stepped closer. "Stay back," a voice commanded, not Elira, but another woman, older, taller, with eyes like molten silver. "I'm just watching," I said. I didn't mean to intrude. The woman shook her head. "You do not understand. This is a ritual of cleansing. A demonstration that outsiders must be controlled. They fear you, Daniel." Fear. The word cut sharper than any blade. I realized then that I was not merely a curiosity, I was a threat, or at least perceived as one. When Elira arrived, the atmosphere shifted. "Enough," she said. The ritual dissolved instantly. The participants stepped back, bowing their heads in deference to her authority. She turned to me. "Do you understand what just happened?" "Yes," I admitted. "I'm not welcome here, am I?" "You are welcome," she said carefully. "But you are also dangerous. Not to us, but to the balance of our society." It was the first time I understood the full weight of my predicament. On Valeria 9, a man was an anomaly so profound that he could destabilize centuries of societal structure with nothing more than his presence. Over the following months, Elira continued to guide me, sometimes gently, sometimes with the cold efficiency of a scientist. She showed me the planet, introduced me to its wonders, floating gardens, self-repairing structures, and even creatures genetically engineered to be sentient companions. Despite the beauty, I felt the invisible chains. Every interaction was watched. Every word measured. I was free to experience, but not free to exist without scrutiny. And yet, I began to notice changes in the society as well. Small ones. A willingness to ask questions aloud, to debate in minor ways, to test boundaries ever so slightly. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but Elira never denied that I had caused it. "You awaken curiosity," she said once. "Curiosity is dangerous, but also necessary." For the first time, I felt a purpose beyond survival. The turning point came when the security systems detected a violent storm forming over the northern hemisphere, a storm powerful enough to devastate entire city clusters. The women of Valeria 9 mobilized immediately, but the automated systems controlling the energy grids, flood barriers, and aerial drones had been designed by a society that had never accounted for a man's unpredictability. Elira approached me urgently. "I need your help. You think differently. You may be the only one capable of seeing a solution before catastrophe strikes." I had no choice but to follow her instructions, working alongside the planetary AI and her council. For the first time, My presence was not merely tolerated, it was essential. Using unconventional methods, improvising where their logic systems failed, I helped redirect energy fields, reinforce flood barriers, and stabilize atmospheric generators. By the time the storm passed, entire city clusters had been saved. Millions owed their lives to a man they did not understand. And for the first time, Elira's eyes shone not with calculation, but with genuine respect. After the storm, the society's perception of me changed. Where once I was a prisoner, now I was a participant. Where once my presence had been a destabilizing factor, now it was a bridge between rigid order and necessary unpredictability. Elira approached me in the council chamber, the same room where I had been questioned months before. "You have done more than survive," she said. "You have contributed. You have altered the trajectory of this world." I laughed, a little bitterly. "I just wanted to stay alive." "No," she said firmly. "You did more than survive. You challenged us. You forced us to see beyond ourselves." For the first time, she reached for my hand not as a scientist, not as a warden, but as a peer. "Perhaps, you are meant to stay. Not as a prisoner, but as something more." The words stunned me. I had not thought of Valeria 9 as home. I had not thought of Elira as anything beyond a warden and a guide. But in that moment, the possibilities opened. A world without men had not rejected me. It had tested me. And I had passed, not by brute strength or cunning, but by being human in a place that had almost forgotten what that meant. In the months that followed, I was allowed limited freedom. I could explore city clusters, work with Elira and her council, and even teach new generations the unpredictable ingenuity of humanity. The planet adapted to my presence just as I adapted to it. Elira and I grew close, bound not by necessity, but by mutual respect and understanding. The first meal she prepared for me after the storm, simple, fragrant, alien yet comforting, felt like a symbol of something far greater than survival. And in her eyes, I realized that I was no longer merely the survivor of a crash. I was part of a society that had once seemed unapproachable, a world that had seemed unwelcoming. I had woken a prisoner. I had survived. And I had become something more, a bridge, a catalyst, and in a place without men, I had found a life worth living. Months turned into years. I never left Valeria 9. The crash had taken me from my home, but it gave me another. A world without men, once alien and cold, became vibrant and alive because of the unpredictability I carried. Elira and I worked side by side, leading, advising, and sometimes arguing, but always growing. I had survived the crash. I had woken a prisoner. And in doing so, I had awakened an entire world.